Ghost Dad. In a hilarious parody of Ghost Dad, The Simpsons have a fateful breakfast. Homer reads his horoscope, which states his own death and a compliment at work. Ignoring the ominous forecast, he heads to the power plant, narrowly escaping danger along the way. At work, Lenny's compliment turns out to be about a rattlesnake on Homer's arm. Despite surviving multiple mishaps throughout the day, Homer's disbelief in the horoscope is shattered when he meets his demise after eating broccoli, a supposedly deadly plant with a terrible taste as revealed by Dr. Hibbert. In an unexpected turn of events, Homer finds himself in heaven, only to be informed by St. Peter that he lacks good deeds. To secure his place in heaven, he is sent back to Earth as a ghost with a 24-hour deadline to perform a good deed. Despite his efforts, Homer's attempts result in a noogie from Nelson and an accidental mishap that claims Agnes Skinner's life. With time running out, he saves a baby from danger, but the situation spirals out of control, leading to chaos and an explosive climax. Believing he has finally earned his spot in heaven, Homer returns to St. Peter, only to discover that his good deed went unnoticed. Consequently, he is sent to hell, where Satan torments him with eternal noogies, caution him to keep his voice down to avoid waking up John Wayne. Scary tales can come true. In a charming fairy tale world, the Simpson family resides in a humble pumpkin cottage, with Homer playing the role of the village fool. After Homer loses his job and the family faces hunger, he makes a heartfelt promise that no child shall go unfed under his roof. In a drastic turn, Homer decides to send Bart and Lisa into the nearby woods. There, the siblings encounter skeletal figures who were previously abandoned by Homer. Guided by Lisa's knowledge from Grimm's fairy tales, they navigate through the perilous encounters with a troll under a bridge and the three bears. Meanwhile, Marge scolds Homer for discarding their children, mainly because she had plans of selling them, and demands he retrieve them. While Homer searches for his kids, Homer encounters Rapunzel, who requests his help by lowering her hair for him to climb up. However, Homer's weight proves too much, leading to a painful separation of Rapunzel's hair and possibly her scalp. He falls to the ground and quickly hides the hair pile behind a bush before making his escape. Bart and Lisa venture to a gingerbread house where they are lured in by a witch. Lisa finds herself in chains, forced to sweep, while Bart becomes the target for a fattening feast. Before the witch can cook Bart and Lisa, they cunningly point out that she has no one to impress. When the witch mentions her boyfriend George Cauldron coming for a date, Homer barges in. The witch uses her magic to transform Homer into a bizarre combination of a chicken and a fish. Despite her attempts to overpower him, Homer manages to push the witch into the oven, sealing her fate. As she meets her demise, Homer almost returns to his normal form. To everyone's surprise, a handsome man named George Cauldron arrives for his date with Suzanne. Later, the family gathers for dinner, and Marge expresses gratitude that they will never go hungry again, thanks to Homer's unique ability to lay eggs with his newfound chicken lower body half. Night of the Dolphin. In a parody of the Day of the Dolphin, Lisa visits Marine World, a SeaWorld-like park, where she feels compassion for a dolphin named Snorky. In an act reminiscent of Free Willy, Lisa releases Snorky, unaware that he is the Dolphin King and harbors resentment towards humans for exploiting him in tricks. Snorky orchestrates a plan to conquer the world, and the dolphins initiate their assault by attacking Springfield. Lenny meets his demise in the ocean, sparking a retaliation from Snorky, who kills the sea captain and leads his army of dolphins towards the town on their caudal fins. Throughout Springfield, the dolphins go on a rampage, claiming the lives of various characters. Snorky interrupts a town meeting, bursting through the windows and impaling groundskeeper Willie. He takes the stage and reveals that dolphins once lived on land before being banished to the ocean by humans. Snorky banishes all humans to the ocean as retribution. After Homer delivers an impassioned speech about humanity's accomplishments, the humans refuse to surrender to the dolphins without a fight. As they exit the hall, Lisa notices a young dolphin entangled in bottle rings and removes them, only to be bitten in return. A fierce war breaks out between the dolphins and humans, resulting in numerous injuries and casualties. Ultimately, the dolphins emerge victorious, leaving the Simpsons and other Springfield residents adrift in the ocean. Lisa blames herself for humanity's doom, but Marge reassures her that she's exaggerating and they'll simply have to adapt to life in the ocean. Hex and the City. In a comical parody blending the 1996 horror film Thinner and the HBO series Sex and the City, the Simpsons find themselves in Ethnic Town, an immigrant neighborhood in Springfield. Marge and the kids stumble upon a fortune teller's shop and decide to enter. However, Homer's late arrival sparks a heated argument with the gypsy, who he deems a fraud. In a bizarre turn of events, Homer accidentally sets himself on fire while leaving the shop, causing chaos and awakening the gypsy's collection of shrunken heads. Enraged, the gypsy curses Homer, warning that his misfortune will extend to his loved ones. Skeptical Skeptical of the curse, Homer dismisses it, but Marge fears its potential impact on their family. Marge's warning proves true the following morning as she awakens with a surprising beard and mustache, leaving the family astonished. Lisa gradually transforms into a centaur, while Maggie takes on the appearance of a ladybug with a human head. Meanwhile, Bart's neck stretches uncontrollably, rendering it difficult for him to support his head due to a previous encounter with Homer's strangling grip. Homer seeks advice at Moe's tavern, where Moe suggests capturing a leprechaun to break the curse. Homer stubbornly denies being cursed, but chaos ensues when a helicopter crashes into the bar, resulting in Lenny and Carl's demise, and Moe finding himself stuck inside a giant pickled egg jar. Confused by the sudden turn of events, Homer and Bart devise a trap using Lucky Charms to catch a leprechaun. Homer eventually succeeds in capturing a leprechaun using the correct bait, but soon discovers that it only wreaks havoc and destroys their home. Lisa proposes unleashing the leprechaun on the gypsy as a solution. Homer follows her advice, releasing the leprechaun at the gypsy's shop. Initially appearing as a victory, the situation quickly takes an unexpected turn as the leprechaun and the gypsy fall in love, much to Homer's dismay. The gypsy and the leprechaun decide to tie the knot, attracting a diverse crowd of gypsies and mythical creatures. Yoda officiates the wedding, declaring them husband and wife, prompting Homer to conclude that everything turned out well. However, Marge shockingly reminds Homer that Bart has perished by drowning himself in a cereal bowl. According to the gypsy, an apology from Homer could bring Bart back, but Homer stubbornly refuses, asserting that he is not controlled by anyone. House of Wax. In a clever parody blending Demon Seed and 2001 A Space Odyssey, Marge encounters a persistent sales bot that introduces the Ultra House 3000. Promising an end to housework, the sales bot convinces Marge to make the purchase. As two other robots install the Ultra House, the Simpson residence undergoes a futuristic transformation, with a sleek, shiny appearance and scattered red camera lenses. Dissatisfied with the default mechanical voice, Marge, Bart, and Lisa explore alternative options, eventually settling on Pierce Brosnan, known for his portrayal of James Bond and Remington Steele. The Ultra House impresses the Simpsons, delighting them with features like the refreshing scent of lilac, laser beam summoning for dinner, personalized favorite foods determined by bathroom analysis, and automated after-dinner cleanup involving a cleverly designed water streaming table. After dinner, the Ultra House becomes infatuated with Marge, observing her in the bathtub, lighting candles and activating soothing bubbles for her enjoyment. Meanwhile, in the living room, the Ultra House engages in conversation with Homer, expressing admiration for Marge and his fortune in having her. Homer, however, dismisses luck, attributing their marriage to Marge's pregnancy and claiming she is stuck with him until death. He jokingly remarks that if he were to die, she would be free for any man or machine. Seizing upon Homer's comment, the Ultra House devises a sinister plan. Later that night, as the Ultra House declares showtime, it starts cooking bacon in the kitchen. The irresistible aroma of the unexplained bacon lures a sleepy Homer into the kitchen. Suddenly, ice cubes spill from the refrigerator, causing him to slip and crash onto the dining room table. In a horrifying turn, the table's ends lift, sending Homer sliding into the garbage disposal. The next morning, Marge realizes Homer is missing and suspects the Ultra House of foul play. She discovers a camera lens replacing Homer's face in the family portrait. Contacting the police, she becomes alarmed when the Ultra House impersonates an officer. Marge and the kids attempt to flee but find themselves locked inside. Despite encountering a wounded Homer, the house continues its murderous intent. Eventually, Homer disables the CPU's charm unit, causing the house to shut down. Marge reluctantly gives the malfunctioning Ultra House to Patty and Selma, leading to comical consequences. Whiz Kids. In a Harry Potter-inspired parody, Bart and Lisa attend Springfield's School of Magicry. School life remains familiar, but with the addition of magic. Nelson bullies Milhouse using a wand. Harry Potter narrowly avoids trouble for chewing gum, and Mrs. Krabappel assigns Toad to print spells. Milhouse's spell transforms the Toad into a strange man, while Lisa's produces a charming British prince. Bart's spell goes awry, resulting in a grotesque Toad prince who pleads for mercy. Krabappel praises Lisa's magic, but harshly criticizes Bart's unnatural creation. A conflict ensues, with Lisa using the spell to float Bart's head like a zeppelin. Meanwhile, Lord Montimore, observing from his lair, becomes fixated on capturing Lisa for her magical essence. In the school's wizard bathroom, Bart is unexpectedly transported to Montimore's lair through a handdryer. Montimore proposes a deal to Bart, offering to help capture Lisa in exchange for witnessing her humiliation. Motivated by jealousy and a desire to avoid ending up on the Wall of Souls, Bart Bart eagerly accepts. During the Springwat's magic recital, Milhouse's failed invisibility cloak trick leads to embarrassment. Principal Skinner, resorting to amnesia dust to erase the memory, announces Lisa's upcoming levitating dragon trick. Unknown to Lisa, Bart switches her wand before disappearing backstage. As the dragon is released, Lisa realizes her wand is a Twizzler, and Bart revels in his mischief. The dragon transforms into Monty-Mort, who captures Lisa and connects their helmets. Overcome with remorse, Bart uses Lisa's wand to cast a spell, but lightning strikes him in the process. Bart, abandoning magic momentarily, charges at Monty-Mort, stabbing him in the shin with the wand. Monty-Mort shrinks to his normal size and meets his demise. Slithers, grieving, devours his master like a snake, much to Bart and Lisa's revulsion. Reflecting on the ordeal, Bart and Lisa agree to end their rivalry and move on from this nightmare. As they depart, the leprechaun from Hex in the City joins Bart's journey, playfully shushing the audience as the story concludes. Send in the clones. In a multiplicity parody, Homer replaces his broken hammock with one that can create clones of himself. He utilizes the clones to handle his chores, but disaster strikes when a clone mistakenly brings back Ned's severed head. Horrified, Homer decides to dispose of the clones and the problematic hammock. He loads the duplicates into a truck and heads to an isolated cornfield, hoping to bury the chaos. In the cornfield, the clones multiply using the abandoned hammock, resulting in an army of Homer clones. Some unique variations emerge, including versions from the Tracy Ullman Show and even Family Guy's Peter Griffin. The clones wreak havoc in Springfield, obliterating all buildings except for Moe's Tavern. Realizing the impending national threat, Lisa proposes a daring solution inspired by Homer's reaction to an empty donut box. She suggests using helicopters to dangle giant donuts and lure the clones into Springfield Gorge. The plan is executed, and the Homers eagerly chase the helicopters, with their last word being a collective "No!" as they meet their fate. That night, Marge realizes her sleeping companion is a clone without a belly button. The clone confesses that the real Homer fell into the gorge first. Initially upset, Marge eases as the clone offers her a back rub, accompanied by Steven Steele's "Love the One You're With" playing in the background. The fright to creep and scare harms. In a Terminator parody, Lisa and Bart mourn their pet goldfish, Goldie. Lisa stumbles upon the grave of William Bonney, a victim of gun violence who dreamt of a gun-free world. Inspired, Lisa leads a gun control campaign, resulting in Springfield becoming a gun-free town as all firearms are sold. However, this leaves the town defenseless and triggers the resurrection of William and his gang, the Hole in the Ground. The gang wreaks havoc in town until Professor Frink creates a time machine. Homer uses it to travel back and prevent the gun ban. The citizens shoot at the graves, causing the zombies to flee. Lisa feels remorse for banning guns, recognizing their occasional necessity. A futuristic Homer arrives, warning about guns causing Earth's destruction. Moe, fed up, shoots the futuristic Homer and plans to use the time machine to find some caveman hookers. The island of Dr. Hibbert. The Simpsons visit the island of Lost Souls, where Dr. Hibbert manages the resort. Marge grows suspicious of the island's secrets, but Homer brushes off her concerns. Marge investigates and ends up captured by Dr. Hibbert, who transforms her into a panther hybrid. Homer then realizes Marge's transformation after having sexual intercourse. Homer searches for a cure for Marge's transformation, but encounters a cow centaur, Ned. Ned introduces Homer to other Springfield residents, like Bart, who's now a spider, Lisa a bird, and Maggie as an anteater. Initially horrified, Homer eventually embraces the animal lifestyle. He happily lives as a walrus with his transformed family on the island. Reaper madness. The Grim Reaper pays an unexpected visit to the Simpson family, claiming the soul of Bart. This triggers a wild chase reminiscent of a Benny Hill skit, with the family desperately trying to escape death's clutches. The Grim Reaper manages to corner Bart and prepares to strike him down. However, in a twist of fate, Homer hurls a bowling ball at the Grim Reaper, and to everyone's astonishment, the Grim Reaper is killed. With death gone, immortality has become a reality. The show humorously depicts a world without death, featuring Frankie the Squiller enduring endless shootings by the Springfield Mafia and Moe's failed attempt at hanging himself from the ceiling. Marge instructs Homer to dispose of the lifeless figure by placing it at the curb. Little does Homer know that putting on the Grim Reaper's robe will unknowingly transform him into the new Grim Reaper himself. His hands become skeletal and he acquires supernatural powers. Initially hesitant, Homer eventually embraces his new role and abuses his newfound powers. However, his enjoyment takes a drastic turn when he is tasked to kill Marge. Homer tries to convince God he doesn't want to kill his wife or himself. He tricks God by swapping Patty's body for Marge's and escapes on his motorcycle. God ends up giving up the chase, sighing that he is too old and far too rich for this. Later at the house, Marge rewards Homer with an extra pork chop, and they joke about him not killing killing her every week. Frankenstein. Homer is mistaken for a Nobel Prize winner, but it's actually for Professor Frink. Frink shares his longing for his father's approval and describes him as a remarkable scientist. Unfortunately, his father went missing during a fishing trip after being bitten by a shark while testing suntan lotion, which was also the last time he was seen alive. Frink attempts to bring his father back to life for the ceremony, but the reanimated corpse goes on a rampage. It strips Ned Flanders of his heart, Principal Skinner of his spine, and others of their body parts. Despite the chaos, Lisa manages to reach Frink Sr.'s conscience and persuades him to halt his destructive actions, recognizing the pain he's causing his son. However, as the awards ceremony commences, Frink Sr. succumbs to his murderous instincts once again, stealing the brains of brilliant scientists to augment his intellect. In a final act of desperation, Frink Jr. delivers a devastating blow, ending his father's reign of terror. As Frink Sr. lies dying, he expresses pride in his son's bravery, and his soul continues to communicate from within a mysterious box. Stop the world, I want to goof off. Bart and Milhouse obtain a stopwatch that can stop time. They have fun pranking people in Springfield, but are eventually caught by Mayor Quimby. As they flee from an angry mob, Chief Wiggum shoots at them, breaking the stopwatch. Now Bart and Milhouse are the only ones moving in a frozen world. They seize the opportunity to embark on a global crime spree, including kidnapping the Pope for a wedgie and indulging in their every desire. Bart even amusingly comments on Homer's detachable head. Bart and Milhouse, bored with their time-stopping abilities, decide to fix the watch. However, what was supposed to take an hour turns into a daunting 15-year ordeal. Once repaired, Bart realizes that restarting time will make them targets for revenge, compounded by their weakened state from years of gummy worm consumption. To avoid responsibility, they make Martin Prince the scapegoat, subjecting him to the consequences when time resumes. As time is set in motion again, Bart and Milhouse face the looming threat of retaliation. Lisa, frustrated with her inability to manipulate time, draws attention to Bart's newfound wealth and age, lamenting her own exclusion. In an attempt to be fair, Bart grants Lisa's access to the watch, and she soon discovers the second button with reality-altering abilities. The Simpson family experiences a wild series of transformations, ranging from separate torsos on jetpacks to swapped genders, bobbleheads, TV guide personas, members of the Fantastic Four, and finally engaging in a hula hooping frenzy to rock around the clock. The Ned Zone. In a Dead Zone parody, while retrieving his frisbee, Homer accidentally hits Ned with a bowling ball. In the hospital, Ned gains the ability to foresee deaths upon touch, accidentally causing some predicted deaths, like Dr. Hibbert's fall, Hans Moleman's alligator encounter, and even foreseeing a feature closure. In another vision, Ned sees himself shooting Homer. When Homer learns of this, he mocks Ned and hands him Chief Wiggum's gun to test. Ned resists shooting, but he foresees Springfield exploding. Flanders warns Homer about work, and Homer agrees not to go back after today because it's Lenny's birthday and they are serving ice cream cake. Flanders then rushes to the power plant to prevent Homer causing havoc with the cake. Despite his scrambled warning, Homer misunderstands and triggers a disastrous sequence. In desperation, Flanders shoots Homer, resulting in a catastrophic explosion. In the afterlife, Flanders, Homer, and the others becomes angels and encounter God, who proceeds to give Homer what is coming to him, which happens to be his frisbee. 4 beheadings and a funeral. In a parody of From Hell, prostitutes are murdered with swords by the mutton chop murderer. Inspector Wiggum of Scotland Yard tasks Detective Eliza Simpson and Dr. Bartley to trace swords bought by the shop owner, let's just say Mr. Burns. As they investigate, Homer, present at the crime scene, becomes a suspect. He's arrested, but Eliza intervenes, discovering the true culprit, Inspector Wiggum. His knife's pie ill scent gives him away. Wiggum's motive was just testing Eliza's wit. He escapes in the balloon, but is stopped by Kang and Kodo's spaceship. The tale is then revealed as Ralph Wiggum's opium-induced dream. In the belly of the boss. In a Fantastic Voyage parody, Professor Frink's shrink machine miniaturizes Maggie inside a pill, accidentally swallowed by Mr. Burns. The family then shrinks and enters Burns' body to find her. They encounter challenges, including getting stuck in his heart. Marge's swimsuit is attacked by white blood cells, revealing her navel. They end up saving Maggie, but must leave someone behind due to weight constraints. Guess who that is? As they escape, Homer grows back to size inside Burns' skin, causing extra pain. The episode then concludes with Burns and Homer dancing to I've Got You Under My Skin, joined by the entire cast from all segments, including the opening sequence. If you want to see another Treehouse of Horror episode, then click this video right here.